We have all been there, right? A plumbing emergency hits, and the first thing you do is scramble to find someone online. But what if I told you that a good plumber's website is way more than just a phone number? It's literally a playbook. And today, we're going to deconstruct one to arm you, to give you the knowledge to hire any home service pro with total confidence. Okay, just picture this. It is the middle of the night, and you're woken up by that sound. Drip, 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 drip. That's the sound of panic setting in. It's that exact moment when a small home issue suddenly feels like a complete catastrophe. And look, it's true. When a pipe bursts at 2 in the morning, you just need somebody, anybody, who will answer the phone. But that urgency, that's when we can make some really bad decisions. So that feeling, let's give it a name. Let's call it the plumbing panic button. And it's a completely normal reaction. But the problem is, when we hit that button, we tend to make rushed decisions that we might regret later. The goal here is to rewire that response, to replace that panic with a clear, calm, and really effective plan of action. So how do we build that plan? Well, we can actually use the promises laid out in this playbook to create a blueprint for what the ideal service call should be. Let's map out what a professional, totally stress-free experience is supposed to look like from the very beginning to the very end. And here it is. This is the gold standard process. It looks pretty simple, but trust me, each one of these steps solves a major headache. First, you call, and a real live person answers, 24/7. No frustrating phone trees when you've got water pouring through your ceiling. Second, and this is absolutely crucial, the pro diagnoses the real problem, the root cause, and gives you a written quote that you have to approve before any work starts. This completely eliminates that fear of a shocking surprise bill. And finally, they do the work, they clean up after themselves, and they hand you a written guarantee. That is the trifecta of a trustworthy service. All right, so now that we have the blueprint for a perfect service call, we can actually reverse engineer it. We can take these key promises and turn them into a universal checklist for vetting any contractor you're even thinking about letting into your home. I want you to think of each of these points as a layer of armor protecting you as a homeowner. 24/7 availability for when disaster strikes, right? Upfront, flat rate pricing to get rid of that sticker shock. A written guarantee so they have to stand by their work. And, those last 2 points, licensed and insured, and local expertise, they are so important, they really deserve their own spotlight. This, right here, is the night and day difference. A licensed pro pulls city permits, which means the work is inspected and it meets all the safety codes. Their liability insurance protects your home if something goes wrong on the job. An unlicensed handyman, they can't do any of that. In fact, their work might even void your home insurance. That lower price tag is no bargain if it puts your single biggest investment at risk. So, what about local expertise? Why does that even make the checklist? Well, let's use the sources focus on a specific neighborhood, Arcadia, Arizona, as a perfect case study for why a pro's intimate knowledge of your area is basically their secret weapon. This is absolutely fascinating. A true local pro doesn't just see a clog to drain. They see a drain in a neighborhood with tons of mature trees and immediately suspect roots are getting into the sewer line. They know that the region's notoriously hard water is the #1 killer of water heaters. They know a house built in the 1950s probably has galvanized pipes that are corroding from the inside out. See, this isn't guesswork. It's pattern recognition that saves you time and money. And let's quickly define that key term from the last slide, hard water scaling. The playbook describes it as an accumulation of minerals like calcium and magnesium. Honestly, the best way to think of it is like cholesterol in your home's arteries. It just slowly chokes off the water flow and is the main reason why water heaters in places like Phoenix might fail years earlier than you'd expect. All right, let's get to the part we all really worry about. We've built the profile of a great contractor. Now let's use the insider information from the source's own FAQ section to build a defense system, one that protects your wallet from scams and from being overcharged. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The playbook actually gives us all the clues we need to tell the difference between an honest assessment and a high-pressure sales tactic. And here are the signs, plain as day. The red flags are things like vague, back-of-the-napkin estimates, pressure to decide right now, or a big push for a massive upgrade when a simple repair is all you need. The green flags? They're the exact opposite. A detailed written quote, a calm explanation of all your options, and total transparency. It really all just comes down to clear communication. Now, to get that truly transparent quote, you have to know the right questions to ask. The playbook's FAQ section reveals these potential hidden costs, so you need to ask directly. Is there a trip fee? Does this quote include the city permit fees? Is the diagnostic charge separate from the repair cost? Knowing these terms gives you the power to make sure the price you're quoted is the price you'll actually pay. So after all the checklists and all the questions, the playbook offers this final and maybe most crucial piece of advice. Trust your gut when something feels off about pricing or urgency tactics. Seriously, your intuition is a powerful consumer protection tool. Don't ignore it. And for a little insider baseball, check this out. The Source's FAQ explains something called the 135 rule. Now, this isn't a plumbing code, it's pure psychology. A specific price, like $135, feels more precise and calculated to us than a nice round number like 150. It's just a small marketing tactic that's designed to build trust by making the price seem less arbitrary. It's a fascinating peek behind the curtain. So really, what this playbook teaches us is that our homes are always sending us signals. A rumbling water heater, a drain that's getting slower and slower, a sudden jump in the water bill. By understanding this process, you shift from a state of reactive panic to one of proactive control. You've got the checklist now, you know the red flags, and you know the right questions to ask. The only question left is, are you listening?